What's up everyone, welcome back to a new video on the Alien Algo channel. If you want more of these uploads, make sure to drop a comment down below. If you have anything you want to see charted in terms of altcoins or specific stocks, make sure to let me know and I will take them into account in the next video. So with that having said, let's get straight into it. We of course have the S&P in front of us right here, where we clearly see 3 bullish candles in a row, which per usual, when you have so many green candles, you are either in a strong uptrend or you are approaching a resistance area. Well, we've seen that we have chopped a shit while here, and currently we are approaching this all-time high area, where if we can break this, just like in crypto, the moment you break an all-time high, you usually go into price discovery. What does price discovery mean? Meaning you have never been there. So there is no clear resistance to tell from a price discovery, right? I will teach you a little trick. All this here was price discovery, as this was that previous all-time high. It's there. And you see from this moment, there is just no historical data to tell where can resistance be. So there are 2 ways to look at this, and I will teach you guys the easiest way, because the Fibonacci is one way to do this, but I find a way that is a little bit easier in my opinion. What do? You get that Fibonacci. Okay, I see that I'm not able to exactly press this wick. Just like this, and instead of these, we will be going over here the exit plus pullback zones, which you already see these levels right here. There is another way to go about this and just use those Fibonacci numbers, which I will be doing in this case. And you already see here those Fibonacci levels right there, and you go on to the right. You see this one got broken. Here again, a little bit of resistance formed, and we get a move towards the downside. And you of course have multiple levels. I see that 2 is not turned on. Right there. Which this could be that next area when you look at this on a price discovery level. But the thing I want to teach you guys is how you can use these price discoveries. Because within price discovery, you don't really want to be catching this part of the move, because you just don't know where the resistance is. So this part you don't want to trade. This part you don't want to trade. What do you want to trade? When it falls. Right here again, when it falls. When it falls. And I will teach you guys a little trick for this. Let's get that local high. So you have to think price would be right around where I have my crosshair put. So this part has not fully happened. So from this point, you get that freshly made all-time high, because you're in price discovery, so every new high being made is a new all-time high. You get that calculation tool, you put it down, and usually it dips between 5.5 to 6 from the top of my head, 7.2% actually. Somewhere in between that. So pretty much anything that did not correct for more than 5%, you don't really want to be buying. Trading view is annoying me today. Here again, this is not really a dip that you want to buy. So I will give you 3 percentages, 3 points, right? There, 3 points, 5.5, and 7.2%. So when a new all-time high is made, just get that calculation tool and pull it down and look at 3% lower from the newly made all-time high. Is there a logical level to retrace from? 5.5% down. Is there a logical point to retrace from? 7.2% down. Is there a logical point to retrace from? This is a little trick I wanted to explain to you guys. Sometimes it gets more extreme, like right here. But in general, it is usually around these levels. So any pullback that's like 2.5%, you are most likely better off just not buying and just waiting. So this is a thing that works percentage-wise on the S&P. So don't take this over to copy paste into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, of course, is more volatile, so the rules apply differently. But when we want to see an all-time high, what do we need to do first? Of course, break that all-time high. So this is that crucial box to break. I just wanted to explain this percentage-based logic. One thing that already has made a new all-time high is the Nasdaq. So the tech stocks are doing better than the general markets as of now. The industrial sector is just going a little bit sideways, even opened red, while you can clearly see that the Nasdaq and the S&P opened bright green. So let's go over Bitcoin, the thing most people are here for. We see that this range, we got a little bit violated here, where I wanted to see a break and retest, and we did not really. We got like a very small break retest, but it got violated in the end. And it, in the end, retraced back to here, where we see this logic. I don't need to explain it, because like I stated on Twitter, most levels are literally memes. So you want to just look at price patterns when a major move happens. Yes, so from the upside, here you see price going up, price making a new low, and currently a lower high. So from here you want to watch for a bar break to play it further down, because you are expecting this trend to reverse here from this moment. And what moment do I mean? This moment. Because here that high has been valid. Right here the high has been made. Because let's say in this candle you're watching, it's still going up. So only here you have your confirmation that this is a proper high. Later you see this, you get some consolidation, and you get continuation towards the downside. So with that explained, what was our general idea? It's quite clear. We wanted to see this level getting cleared, and then we fly straight to this, which we are already doing. Where do we illustrate this a little bit better? Here on that volume chart. Like I stated, you have high volume nodes and you have low volume nodes. All these levels are just purely based on the spikes on the volume. If you just look at the chart and look at where the levels are, it's quite clear to see. So what did I state in yesterday's video? We wanted to see price closing above this. Right here, that end of that volume. Right, this point. Because this was a low volume, so I stated, just like here, that if we broke down from that high volume area, we should literally go right into the next high volume area. Right here, we are doing the exact same, but then in the opposite side. So here, you see, we've broken that high volume area, and we get sent straight up to that next high volume point, because there's very low volume right here. So with that explained, let's go onto the lower time frames. Here we see that 30 minutes. I will do this on the USD chart. Right here, this is about that same level. And look at it from a volume perspective. So this is a level we want to hold. Excuse. If we hold this, we could literally see continuation. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. And what is the next level to look at? I think this should be quite clear. That previous resistance. So if we manage to break this, I will be looking at this zone quite fast. There should be one trap that I think they will use, which wouldn't be really weird if they use it. Where they go and push above this level, and they push like into this, start to consolidate, make another higher high, and then they just give one final big flush before sending it up. Because I do think, and I saw it on those on-chain datas, that open interest and CVD is quite getting a bit higher. So in this part, well, usually you see a lot of people just buying these type of moves with leverage. So you see a big rise in open interest. On this part, everyone get front run. So there was no, when you look at it back, there is no really big rise in open interest on this part of the chart. Where is open interest rising all of a sudden? Right here. In this part, the open interest is rising. So We want to see this level getting cleared, but I am not majorly bullish here. Because the thing, what do we want to be? We want to be bullish at lows and we want to be bearish at highs. So I do think this can be either a high or there is very little gas left before you get like that correction and then we see some continuation back up. But when we are talking about short term, this really just looks a little bit unhealthy. Where this part was unhealthy, what do you get then? A consolidation to fix that health issue. Yes, in that move. So here, normally you would like to see a couple retraces, just like what happened on this move. This is like pretty healthy. Where you have that move, you see some chop upwards and you see a crash right into that low volume area. Where here there was not a lot of volume traded and you fix that. There are two ways to fix an unhealthy move. It's either from a correction back into that area to make it healthy again, or you want to see a consolidation to build more buyers to push it further. So now with that logic explained, what is happening here? Because on a lower time frame perspective, this is quite healthy. You just see highs and lows and pretty decent retraces when you are talking low time frame, right? Like this, quite clean. But there comes the thing, now you have a little free drive. So 1, 2, and 3. And this usually is a reversal pattern on those lower time frames. It can also happen on those higher time frames because I do think most people should have known this by now. And you just look at this. 1, 2, and 3. I'll make it even worse for you guys. 1, 2, and 3. Yes, so that free drive is kind of crucial. And here you see it happening in a bearish variation on the lower time frame. So from this, I do think we should see at least some sort of retrace before we break up from this level. And with a retrace, where can we go into? I think this zone would be logical, where right around these previous highs in correlation with this range. If this level does not hold, I will be looking for even deeper around this area. So it's quite simple, where we either will be getting support from this level in my opinion, or we will be going all the way to here, where we just see another like a V bottom or a W bottom. I don't really care what pattern will be formed, but price action will tell. So now that we have had BTC, let's quickly go over ETH. Where on ETH, you see, yeah, it's just been acting a little poorly, where we had this break and we went up, we had that retest and we rejected once again. Now we are creating some sort of diagonal resistance right there. The good thing about this is we are still above that range low. So what do we of course want to see? We want to see it reclaim this area before we are majorly bullish again on those lower time frames. Because right now this just looks like a proper rejection. Yeah, okay, it's happening while I'm recording the video, of course, but you already see this is kind of a nasty rejection, which on BTC you are seeing something quite similar, where you see multiple candles, the candles are getting smaller, and you see big wicks at the top, right there. Let me search for another example where you have this concept, because this is a sign of weakness, where you have this massive move towards the upside. It first starts slowly. It starts slowly first. You see an impulse happening, and look at what is happening. Those candles are getting smaller and you're starting to consolidate. This is where you form your local top. Okay. Now we are seeing something quite similar on that 5 minutes, where you just, these candles were really massive. You're starting to retrace a little. You form that free drive, which is a pattern of weakness in terms of the existing trend. So let's get back into ETH. I will go over the volume levels again. We are at that value area low, which we wanted to see reclaim, which it currently has not been able to do. Even worse, when you talk on a lower time frame, you have your 1, you have your 2, and you have your 3. Meaning you have your higher high, lower high. to dumb it down to the simplest, this is just the 1, 2, 3 pattern, where the 1, 2, 3 pattern can either be made at the top of the point 1 or at the candle of the point 2. So with that having said, let's go back to that other chart where this would be kind of logical, which it's already doing, where we just get sent back to those range lows, but we are already there. So if this range low does not hold, we can go a bit deeper, and with deeper I do think this can be kind of logical if we don't hold these range lows. But let's look at a volume level where we pretty much just had a backtest on a higher time frame. And just think of this was your range, you broke below that range, you broke back into that range, and you just retested these prior range lows. Yes, so this is a bullish retest in terms of those higher time frames. But for the lower time frames, you see you are getting quite a nasty rejection, while you are just getting into support. I should have uploaded this video a bit earlier because now this rejection already happened and it is not really possible to play it anymore. But we are at those range lows, which I do think is quite giving some opportunities for BTC. Let's see how this is looking. Yeah, ETH is just holding a bit stronger, while BTC, of course, had that weird as a run overnight, breaking that low volume area. But for ETH, we have just been sideways, which makes me guess that we will get sent further up. Because if this really was like quite weak, we would have already been around here in terms of comparing BTC to ETH. Well, BTC broke out, ETH has not, and it just fully retraced back into those range lows, which I quite find possible. That's when you already look at this, yeah. This is why I should upload these videos maybe a bit earlier, but it's more of happening what is happening during that market, because you already see if you were trading this with decently high leverage, this could already have been a decent trade when you know this is moving 0.7% within 2 minutes. So with that having said, let's get into some alts. Banana, I want to see this level hold, otherwise it could perhaps retest this, which I don't think is very likely. Looking at the strength of it, I think this will just bump randomly out of nowhere. For virtual, it's still looking like one of the... Yeah, it's not looking that great when you're talking about a lower time frame. Hype, yeah, hype is just, it's always strong. Really is a weird ass pair, but you know, like how I like to say it, the casino always wins. So when you look at this on the 30 minutes, you quite clearly see a sweep, equal lows being made, and it just gets sent back up to those range highs, while this pattern was formed at those range lows. So, of course, in this case, we want to see those range highs being broken to see some continuation back towards the upside. For TIA, I'm still not trading this. Although, I still want to see that level getting reclaimed, but I am still majorly bullish on Ondo when we are talking about a higher time frame. So, Pendle also looking quite decent, where it is currently trading back into these lows, which also became support here, became resistance here to create a downside, became resistance here yet again. Currently, we are trading into that, so this could be a buy the dip opportunity when we are talking about the 1 hour. And on a 5 minute, this also looks quite decent, where we should be able to play these back towards those highs. So let's go over the last two. This video took a bit longer because I wanted to explain that percentage-based logic on the S&P, because I do think we will be going into some price discovery on the S&P as well. And this is a very easy to use strategy on how to catch those newly made lows for the S&P, which the S&P of course correlates quite well with Bitcoin, so keep that in mind. For ETH/BTC, I like to see these range lows hold, otherwise I'm just really not that bullish. But for this, it's still looking quite decent, and we should know that below that 0.5 level is your area to buy. Within here, you really don't want to be doing anything. If we see a rejection from here, there is a way to play it. If we see it break up from here, there is a little way to play it, but you rather want to be playing these two extremes, where you either bid the range lows and sell the range highs, unless it starts rejecting off that 0.5 level. So keep that in mind. It's just a very easy range for those levels right here. You already see that. For BTCD, this is why the alts are really not moving that great. Yesterday and the day before they were, but today it's looking quite weak. So when we look at this, sorry for the little breaks in between, I'm just sipping coffee like you should do while doing these videos. So here we see it, instead of rejecting, it found acceptance back above. And this I really don't want to see in terms of alts, because from this point you are just having a new consolidation. I will use this, I will draw this with a box to make it a little bit more clear, where this currently is your lower time frame consolidation. And if you manage to break up from this, alts should have a little bit more bleed, and I think only the strong pairs should move well, while BTC just does its thing. So until this really finds acceptance back below this, I am not really that bullish on alts for those lower time frames, and BTC just proves that it is still king. Here you already see it, just compare them. Here ETH and BTC on a relative level. Just scroll through some alts, look at ETH, look at BTC, and you clearly see that currently BTC is outperforming the entire market, which is quite logical in BTC's terms. So what do we want to see for this BTCD? We are currently looking at this little point as a pivotal range, where you have this point. I will make it even more clear, like this point. So what would we like to see here? Why is it doing me like this? Okay. Yeah, it should be like this. Okay. So what do we have? We have your range high and you have your range low. So where do we want to see a rejection? Around that range high. Let me draw a regular circle, like around these range highs, with me looking at this little part right here, which we made this week. We gotta retrace back in, and then that downside started to happen. So we want to see a rejection here, where this could give some short-term opportunities for alts, but until that, this is just straight up, and we could trade it into resistance, but I think it's safer to wait for those extreme highs. So with that having said, it was a little bit more in-depth than usual, so I hope you liked the video, and like usual guys, keep trading and have a nice day. Bye.